Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. So today I'm updating you on a video that I filmed at the very beginning of the year. So the very beginning of 2022, I uploaded a video called 22 Books I Want to Read in 2022. And they were 22 books, obviously, that were backlists that I wanted to read this year because I really wanted to make backlist books a priority this year. And so this whole video is updating you on my progress on that so far. And I have to say, I'm doing quite well. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to walk you through each book that is on that list, whether I read it or not. I have replaced some books that have been on that list and just let you know how I'm doing with the list and things like that. In case you're interested, keep watching. If not, totally understand. So let's go into it. So first up on that list was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is his newest release. It came out last year. A lot of these books on this list are 2021 releases. Whether you consider that backlist or not, I don't know. It is to me, whatever. But anyway, I have read that one and I enjoyed it. Not as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it, but I liked it. I definitely like The Martian more, but either way, I read it. Next up is Where the Crawdads Sing by Daily Owens. This has been on my TBR for a while because everyone and their mother has seemed to have read it and I still have not, and especially with the movie coming out, I wanted to read it. So I read it and again, didn't love it. I'm definitely one of the opinions that I think it's overrated and overhyped. That's just me, but either way I read it. I'm glad to have read it because I am interested in the movie and I think the movie might be a little bit better than the book. I know, blasphemy, I never thought I would say that, but here I am. But it was okay. I just didn't love it. I don't see the big hype about it. Next on the list is Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Santano, sorry. This is a adult like romance cozy mystery and this was such a fun read. Everyone has been telling me to read this for years and I'm so glad I finally read it. I know the sequel came out this year. I don't know if I'll get to it or not, but either way, I read this one and I did really enjoy it. I'm very happy I read it. If you want a book that'll make you smile that has a mystery element into it, this one is great for that. Next up is The Sweetest Remedy by Jane Ungaro. As of filming this right now, which is like the very beginning of June, pre-filming is how it goes. I just started this one, so I feel confident by the time this video goes live, I will have finished this. So I don't know for sure if I'll love it or not, but I have high hopes. I've heard really, really good things about this book. And the last book on my first row, I know I'm so close to like getting a bingo, and that is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is the only YA book I believe on this list, and it's a sci-fi book because I want to make backlist books a priority as well as sci-fi books. I don't know how I feel about that anymore, but I did enjoy this one. I am very glad I read it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was a fun YA sci-fi, and I'd say if you really want to get into Brandon Sanderson but feel daunted, Skyward is definitely the way to go. It's not overly like information exhausting, if you get what I'm saying, but I enjoyed it a ton. And to our next row with another sci-fi book, and that is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This is one that I know I'll read by the end of the year. When it will happen, I'm not quite sure, but it's a sci-fi one that I for sure want to read. It's been on my shelf for years, so it's high time to read it. Then we have Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is one that I did switch out, and I might put it back in, honestly, but I switched out right now with Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hiller. This is one I just randomly read. I knew it was backlist, and if I read a backlist book, and I'm like, ooh, let me go to this list to see if there's any that I'm not too sure about, and the Midnight Library was one of them. So I feel like I could read the Midnight Library before the year's over, but I'm not holding myself up to it, which is why I replaced it. But either way, I replaced it with Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hiller. This is a mystery thriller that came out, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, and I loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Wasn't expecting. It's a dark, disturbing book, but I loved it. The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zordia Cordova. Again, another book I loved. I was not expecting to love this one. This one I put on the list because I was just interested in it. I've heard a lot about it. It sounded like it had an interesting plot with magical realism, and I read it last month and I loved it. I wouldn't be surprised. My favorite book of the year. 5 out of 5. So happy I finally read it. Much like the next book in this list, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. We have 3 5 out of 5s in a row. This is one that came out last year that everybody loved. It was on like everybody's favorites list, and it was a mystery thriller, and I was like, I should probably read it. And I read it this year and I am so happy I did. It is a book that is full of unlikable characters, which I'm usually not a fan of, but it was written so well and the ending was just phenomenal and it kept me guessing and I really enjoyed it. 5 out of 5. Then we have Discovery of Witches, which I have switched out. I don't feel like I have a big interest in Discovery of Witches. I know a lot of you guys recommend it to me, but I just don't feel called to read it. And it's quite a big book, so I have to think about that as well. So I switched it out with Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This is one of her earlier books that I read, and I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I think I'm just trying to read a lot of Alice Feeney books because I do enjoy her like mystery thrillers. I haven't read one of hers yet that I've loved, but I will say I did enjoy this one. It's about a character that is like basically in a coma, and she's aware of everything and hearing everything going around her, but no, she can't express it. It's just trying to figure out how she got into this coma, while she's in it. So it's very interesting, and the ending definitely threw me for a loop, so much so that I still can't quite understand it yet. So yeah, I've switched out Discovery Witches and I'm okay with it. We have The Passenger by John Mars, another mystery thriller. I've read 2 of John Mars books before. One I love, called The One, and the other one I didn't love so much, but I've heard a lot of really good things about The Passenger, so I definitely plan to read it. I have no doubt in my mind that I will read it before the end of the year. We have one that I think I will switch out, and I just made that decision like literally yesterday, and that is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Orsman, I believe. This one I've been on hold for my library for a while now with it, and my hold finally came in the other day, and so I started reading it and I was immediately like, I don't know if this is the book for me. Number 1, it is very lengthy for a mystery thriller. Number 2, I'm just not jiving well with the tone of it. They keep switching points of views and it's very hard to keep up with. So this one I might switch out. I might put back in the Midnight Library for this one. I'm not 1000% sure yet. I'm just gonna have to wait and see how it goes. But this one I can already tell I'm not loving the tone of it. It's just not for me. So, and this year I'm really also trying to be like, if I don't enjoy a book, it's okay to move on. It's okay. So this is one I think I might just switch out, which I'm very disappointed with because it sounded really cool. It's all about like this elderly community that has a Thursday murder club where they try to solve cold cases. It sounds interesting, doesn't it? But I don't know. I'm just not loving it. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on it, if I should stick with it or if I should just like maybe part ways with it. We have The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. This is one I also have read. I'm trying to read all of Talia Hibbert's Backlist. It's a lot. So I just put this one on here. It's a standalone book about a woman that falls in love with a prince. And it was cute. It wasn't like one of my favorite Talia Hibbert books, but I enjoyed it. It's a great romance. Then we have more sci-fi. We have All Systems Red, I think, by Martha Wells. I'm not sure. I believe this is a novella. It's all about like this robot, I think. Either way, it's a novella, so I know I can read it. So I feel confident with putting this on this list and confident that I will finish it. Next up is one, again, I think I have switched out, and that is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. Again, I got this from the library. I started reading it and I was like, this is interesting. But then I realized it was like, it's long. I want to say it's like almost 700 pages. That's lengthy and it's very intricate. So this is one I think I'll read eventually. I just don't know if it's going to be this year. So I've replaced it with No Exit by Taylor Adams, I believe. This is a mystery thriller that has been adapted to Hulu, I think, and it's just a quick one. So this one I'm still iffy about. Like, I see myself maybe reading Night Film, but I'm not holding myself up to it, which is why I have replaced it. So I don't know. It's hard because everyone loves Night Film, so I don't want to be one of those people that didn't even give it a chance, and I do want to read it, so I don't know. Then we have Binti. This is another sci-fi novella that's very, very quick, under like 150 pages, so I know I can read this. I've heard amazing things about it. And then we have Hench. This is one that I think at first I was excited about it. The more reviews I hear about it makes me kind of less excited. It's basically about this woman that works for like supervillains or something like that. I don't know. Like, it's like she does clerical. I think that a lot of people compare this to the show The Boys, I believe, on Amazon Prime, which I've heard a little bit about. This one, I know for sure I'm going to give it a shot. Like, I'm going to either get it from the library or buy an ebook and at least try to read it. Whether or not I'll complete it or not, I don't know. But this one is a 50-50 for me still if I will complete it. Then we have House in the Cerulean Sea by Chi J. Clune. one I have read and gave 5 out of 5. So this is the 4th 5 out of 5 on this list, and I'm so excited about that. Like, it's just, ugh, I loved it. It's basically a hug in a book. I'm sure you've heard about it because it was on everybody's list last year with good reason. It is amazing. Then we have The Last Thing You Told Me by Laura Dave. This is one I read because it won like the Goodreads Mystery Thriller Award for, was it last year or the year before? I think it may have been last year. And I did not enjoy it. This is a pure case of mismarketing. Like, this book, if it was marketed correctly, which it should be, honestly, a woman's fiction, I think I would have enjoyed it. But instead, it's marketed as, or at least on Goodreads or everyone talking about it, as a mystery thriller. And it really isn't, in my opinion. So this one, I think I could have enjoyed more if I had known the scope of like what it was trying to do. But instead I went into it thinking it was going to be a mystery thriller, and it really wasn't. So I didn't love this one. I wouldn't say it's like a most hated book ever, but I just didn't love it. We have Velvet is the Night, Leah Morano Garcia. I read her book a couple years ago called Mexican Gothic and enjoyed it. This is one I think that takes place in 1970s, so I do plan to read this for sure. And then we have Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is one, another sci-fi book that I wanted to read that I replaced. I think as more time goes on through the year, I've learned that I'm just not a big sci-fi person. I think that at the beginning of this year, I was like, I really love sci-fi, I want to read it. And I've read a couple of them, and I'm like, it's okay. I just don't think it's the genre for me 1000%, which is why I'm replacing it. And I replaced it with The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, which I have read. This is like Peter Swanson's biggest book. Like, everyone who loves Peter Swanson talks about this book. It's kind of a take on, I think, Strangers on an Airplane or Strangers on a Train. That's it. And overall, it was okay. I don't think it was as amazing as everyone else's claimed to be, but that's just me. Everyone's opinions are validated and they're their own. I just didn't love it as much, but it did make me interested in Peter Swanson, and I definitely could see myself reading more of his books in the future. Last book on this list is Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, which I have read. If you don't know Agatha Christie, she is a classic mystery thriller writer. This is my second book by her, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. It makes me want to read all of this guy's Poinar, hopefully I pronounced that right, series. I enjoyed it a ton. I want to read Murder on the Orient Express. I can't think of another Agatha Christie book, but I enjoy them. Like, I really enjoy them. They're just kind of fun, locked door mystery books. So there's my progress. So overall, did I even count how many I've read? I've read 13, so I'm over halfway through. So I feel very confident finishing this. I think if I calculated, I think I could finish this by, let's see, September. If I continue on with my pace of reading 2 of them a month, which I'm doing, so hopefully I can. So overall, my progress is going really good. At the beginning of this year, I wrote this list, and I thought it'd be cool if I could read it, but I really am focusing on it a lot, and I have to say I'm enjoying it. Like, it's brought me some of my favorite reads of the entire year. I have 4 books on this list that are 5 stars. I have Jar of Hearts, Orchida Divina, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and Cerulean Sea, and they're some of my favorite books of the entire year. So obviously this is going well for me. Like, I think this has solidified the fact that I don't need to focus on new releases so much. And I did this whole list because that is a problem of mine. I focus so much on new releases because in my mind, I'm like, people just want to hear about new books. They don't want to hear about books that are previously passed because you got to stay with the new. And that's just me. I know that's not you guys. I'm sure you're like, I will hear about a book anytime it's published. That is totally my fault. So the more I'm getting out of that mindset, the better it is helping me and making me realize that I need to focus more on backlist books, and I'm enjoying it, and it's obviously going very fruitful for me. Yeah, that's my update for this whole list, and I'm doing really well, and I'm happy with it, and I feel very confident that I will bring a video by the end of the year talking about my final thoughts on all of them. And would I do this again? Not next year. For sure I would do this again because I'm enjoying it. I would love to know if I've inspired you to do the same list as well. I know I put the template on Instagram and things like that, but I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on the remaining books I have, or if I swayed you to read one of the books on this list, please let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.